All right, it's a beautiful Sunday evening, day number 22 in the month of June 2025. Good evening and welcome to Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. Iron Port is proudly brought to you by the Ghana Revenue Authority, Goil PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. The show is proudly powered by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority-GPHA, and our media partner on this journey of a lifetime is the Business and Financial Times, the BNFT. Now, if you want to have a grasp of all the transpired on the show tonight, make a date and grab the Thursday edition of the BNFT, and you'll be able to read all that happened here on the show. Tonight, we are streaming live on our social media pages. On Facebook, we are live at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. Still on Facebook, we are live at Port of Tema, and on YouTube, we are live at Iron Port. Now, you will be getting interactive with us, and so all you have to do is sit back, relax, grab your phones, and send us your messages and comments via our dedicated WhatsApp line, which is 0538-037353, 0538-037353. And when the time is ripe and I pick signals from the production team, we shall activate the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to the discussion. My name is Kennedy Mona. We are going for a quick break. When we return, we will continue with the show. Please stay with us.
Energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP, available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP will feel ya, huh? Will be feel. Goil, good energy. Yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water. Or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Welcome to today's edition of Serene Insurance Business News. We present to you Serena. You're right. You can complete an entire insurance process for the purchase of any motor and other insurance products, from onboarding to issuing a motor insurance sticker and policy certificate, all on WhatsApp in less than 10 minutes. Serena is simple to use and it prioritizes user ease and flexibility. You can either use voice notes or text to effortlessly issue your instant policy, cross-platform renewals, claims, and also process your payments through mobile money, Visa, and MasterCard. To engage Serena, just search for Serena Insurance on all social media handles and scan the Serena barcode or save her number 0500 517 114 and start chatting her on WhatsApp immediately. There you have it. Serena is not just a tool, it's an innovation by Serene Insurance designed to redefine how motor and travel insurance are accessed and managed. Speed, convenience, and reliability.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
At Phoenix Insurance, we make the unpredictable predictable and the uncertain certain with our range of products, including motor insurance, fire insurance, engineering insurance, marine insurance, accident insurances, and all types of bonds. We have you covered. We also support you with risk management advice to enable you stay focused on your business. Take a policy with Phoenix Insurance today. We help you rise from adversity stronger and more secure. Contact us on 0302 246319 or 0302 246644 or any of our branches, agencies, and brokers spread across the nation. You can as well connect with us on our WhatsApp chatbot. Efiba is waiting to assist you. Make the future predictable with Phoenix Insurance. Phoenix Insurance, a delightful service experience delivered with wisdom.
All right, welcome back. It's now time for us to take a look at happenings in the port and shipping industry over the last week by way of local stories.
Stakeholders in Ghana's maritime industry have been encouraged to adopt alternative dispute resolution (ADR) mechanisms as a viable alternative to prolonged court litigation. This call is in line with the National Integrated Maritime Strategy, which emphasizes the peaceful resolution of disputes arising within the maritime sector. As Africa experiences a surge in intra-African trade, foreign direct investment, and cross-border transactions, there is an increasing demand for dispute resolution methods that are efficient, cost-effective, and culturally appropriate. Speaking at a special induction and graduation ceremony organized by the Center for International Mediators and Arbitrators, CIMA, England and Wales, in collaboration with the Oxfordshire Africa Forum on International Arbitration, CIMA Vice President Dr. Osebunsu Dixon cautioned that continued reliance on maritime litigation could negatively impact the growth and efficiency of the industry.
Ghana seeks to be a leading star in the area of maritime governance, and therefore if Ghana is to actually make a very important stride forward, then disputes that arise from this area are areas that practitioners here need to be able to focus on and have a handle on. And I think that what CIMA represents is to provide Africa-centered dispute resolution practices that are internationally standardized and are effective.
He underscored the need to strengthen the capacity of ADR professionals to ensure timely and effective dispute resolution.
Maritime litigation is not the way most nations seek to resolve disputes. Do not forget again that when we had a problem with Côte d'Ivoire, we resolved it through arbitration. And therefore it's important to strengthen the capacity, the abilities, intellectual fortitude of those who represent the state and also those who represent Ghana in commercial intercourse.
Delivering a keynote address, His Lordship Justice Eric Chebafor, a justice of the Court of Appeal, highlighted CIMA's growing reputation as a globally respected institution for ADR training. He noted that the ceremony marked not only graduation, but also the beginning of a professional journey dedicated to promoting justice, equity, and conflict resolution across global communities.
Pursue excellence through specialization. Go deeper, not just wider. The journey of success is one stream with challenges and pitfalls. It is for those who dare to dream. Excellence is forged on the anvil of sweat, hard work, and pushing to your elastic limit. Excellence is not bestowed on just a selected few in our society, but is a prize for us all to attain.
A total of 46 professionals were awarded certificates marking their formal induction into the field of international mediation and arbitration.
A joint meeting of the Customs Consultative Committee has taken place at the GPHA Towers in Tema, the first such gathering this year, bringing together key players in the port logistics chain to assess port performance and operational challenges. The high-level engagement held in anticipation of the government's 24-hour economy policy set to begin implementation in July, sought to reflect on the past year's activities and align institutional priorities and operational strategies to ensure seamless facilitation of trade under the new regime. Officials from the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and Meridian Port Services presented data indicating a general improvement in cargo throughput. Both institutions highlighted some developmental initiatives being undertaken to enhance service delivery at the various terminals in the Port of Tema.
Being apprised of these occurrences, the Director General gave the wherewithal for the augmenting of our equipment base, increasing the number and the fleets of trucks for the container evacuation process. We received 15 of those, 15 are pending delivery. We also engaged with customs together with our other collaborators to mitigate the occasional breakdown of the scanners and to find other effective means of facilitating the required inspection in the terminal.
If your container is stopped by customs by one reason or the other, it does not mean you need to stay longer. If you don't think you can finish your formalities of customs, vacate the day. Let another agent be able to use the platform, finish the examination, and go. Because this 3 days at the platform, and if we have average time spent, let's put it at 4 hours, which means that every day at NPS is 6 trucks a day. If you spend 3 days at the platform, that is 18 trucks, that we deny customers of their revenue and deny them the opportunity to make sure that the security is also.
Customs, for its part, declared its preparedness to support the 24-hour economy policy, assuring stakeholders of continuous clearance operations and enhanced coordination across agencies.
In line with this, I can assure you that Tema Port is well on its way to full preparedness for this 24-hour economy. Significant strides have been made in terms of infrastructure, technology, and human resource deployment to ensure a seamless transition and sustained efficiency around the clock.
The Food and Drugs Authority also used the platform to reiterate the importance of complying with import requirements, particularly the need to register products prior to importation.
We will still engage our stakeholders, especially on our major challenges, falsification of documents, and the declared, undeclared, and these are all affects our ability as authorities to actually identify the products and bring regulatory compliance to them. And also in line with the government policy on expanding the power of beyond MPS, we are also planning.
The meeting reinforced the need for deeper interagency collaboration and responsive policy planning to maintain Ghana's ports as competitive trade hubs in the sub-region. Following President John Dramani Mahame's announcement that Tema and Takoradi ports will operate 24 hours a day, beginning July 1, 2025, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has initiated consultations with key stakeholders to discuss the effective implementation of this policy. This directive aligns with the government's broader 24-hour economy initiative aimed at enhancing productivity, operational efficiency, and driving national economic growth. GPHA first engaged the Ship Owners and Agents Association of Ghana to assess their readiness for the transition to round-the-clock operations. The director of the Port of Tema, Tibon Zuma, speaking on behalf of GPHA's Director General, Brigadier General Paul Seidu Tanya Kulono, confirmed that the authority is prepared and is taking necessary steps to ensure a smooth rollout. He urged all stakeholders to collaborate closely for a successful rollout.
Internally, we've been assessing our strength regarding staff, equipment, all other resources, lightning situations at the terminals and all that. So within that assessment, we know what we should do to start. As ship owners, most of you are involved from the ship side to the shore as well. So we need you to come on board. You have any suggestions to help improve it, we welcome it.
Members of SWAG expressed support for the 24-hour operation policy, emphasizing the importance of addressing any challenges collaboratively to ensure seamless implementation. Additionally, the Port Authority held fruitful discussions with representatives from the freight forwarding sector and the Ghana Union of Traders Association, both of whom expressed optimism about the policy's potential benefits. They noted that the successful adoption of the 24-hour operations will bring significant advantages to the country's trade and logistics landscape.
One of the benefits that we are going to get from this 24-hour port service cycle is we're going to see improvement in our time of doing business and cost of doing business at the port.
GPHA has deployed this portal for agents where payments, invoices, and container scheduling are going to be done seamlessly. So indeed, we are really getting there. I'm very, very optimistic about it because very, very soon when we kickstart on 1st July, I believe with system, with infrastructure, and with the terminals, we are going to kickstart it and work.
It's also going to increase the traffic of vessels coming here, one. It's going to reduce clearance, because then weekends you are not working, night you are not working. Now you're going to have your cargoes moving all around these times, and you know, in a part of the world during the night you don't have much traffic, so you can also get deliveries also being done early and all of that.
This is the best time that is happening, especially when throughput is consistently increased. The dollar is down, so which means that cargo throughput would be increased. So this is the best time for us to implement it. In this meeting, we've seen the readiness of GPHA. We'll be looking at the readiness of the other parties, i.e. the shipping lines, customs, and the rest.
Director of Port Tibon Zuma remained confident that with all stakeholders working together, the 24-hour port operation policy will deliver the desired outcomes and contribute positively to Ghana's economic progress.
We do 24 hours of work at the ship side. So for our pilots, they work round the clock. Vessels can come in at any point in time.
The board chairman of the biggest oil marketing company in Ghana, Goil PLC, Nana Philip Acha, has announced that the company's strategic focus for 2025 will center on embedding innovation, technology, and strong risk governance into its corporate framework. According to him, the board remains steadfast in its commitment to upholding excellence in corporate governance and ethical leadership. He made these remarks at the 56th annual general meeting of Goil PLC held in Accra. Reflecting on the past year, Nana Acha acknowledged that 2024 presented considerable global and domestic challenges. However, he emphasized that through disciplined strategy and collective resolve, Goil PLC remained resilient and continued to advance.
Despite the headwinds, Goil delivered a solid performance in 2024. Our consolidated profit rose to 87.7 million Ghana cedis, a 54.82% increase over the previous year. The growth was achieved through prudent financial management, strategic marketing, and operational efficiency.
Nana Philip Acha further noted that Goil PLC will prioritize risk management, real-time compliance monitoring, and accelerated technology adoption to protect the company's future and deliver sustained value to stakeholders.
Our strategic focus in 2025 will be on embedding innovation, technology, and then robust risk governance into our corporate DNA.
Speaking on the sidelines of the event to journalists, the group CEO and managing director of Goil PLC, Edward Bauer, outlined key management strategies aimed to enhancing the company's profitability.
We need to be the leading OMC. We need to ensure that we are competitive at the markets. And three, we must ensure that in the spirit of this green transition, that Goil adapts to the new innovations that are coming. So basically, this is what our target is, because if we do all these three things and do them very well, one, we will really be able to increase in terms of our profits. Two, we'll be able to ensure that share value increases. And last but not the least, maybe in the next year when we come for AGM, we should be able to also declare dividends and increase on that.
He affirmed management's dedication to working diligently to improve shareholder margins.
All right, welcome back. So those were happenings in the port and shipping industry over the last week. Now we're going for the word or phrase of the day, and today we're talking to you about notify party. Notify party.
Notify party. Company or person who appears on the bill of lading or weigh bill to be notified when the cargo arrives at destination. Could be different from the consignee, but is often the actual receiver of the goods. A notified party has no particular rights beyond the notification under the bill of lading or weigh bill.
Now straight on to our health and safety tip for the week, and today we're telling you about emergency preparedness. Emergency preparedness.
Emergency preparedness. Emergency preparedness plans should be created for emergencies. These plans should include items such as medications, first aid supplies, and evacuation plans for emergencies.
Right, so we are zooming into our discussion proper tonight, and tonight we're taking a look at how to strengthen the competitiveness of Ghana's logistics and transport sector. And indeed, we are taking some perspectives from the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, CILT Ghana. And this particular topic comes on the back of a high-level meeting, organized by the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, trying to figure out how we can make Ghana's logistics sector quite competitive. And so we are privileged this evening to introduce to us Mr. Ephraim Asari, who is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. He's the vice president in charge of logistics and materials at the Institute. He's no stranger to Iron Port. He's been here before. Good evening, sir, and welcome. Awesome. Also in the studios with us is Mr. Patrick Andor, who is also a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. Indeed, he's the executive secretary of the Institute. He's also no stranger to Iron Port. He's been here before. Good evening, sir, and welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, so I would begin with you, Mr. Asari, and first of all, ask you to tell us what actually inspired, as it were, the Institute to organize this high-level CEO's meeting that I earlier on alluded to. I don't know whether you will take it or you take it. The executive secretary will take it because he happens perhaps to be the CEO, so to speak. But if you wouldn't mind, please oblige us. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This topic, the event was arrived at the right time.
Right.
Because logistics and transport operations worldwide is very dynamic. And if we appreciate the fact that the nation's engine, economic engine, hinges on logistics and transport, anybody who jokes with this will spell doom. So we decided that from time to time, these conferences has to be organized. We have expertise who are hiding, who have the knowledge and the know-how to express. We need to tap them. So we made a clarion call to the industry players, and then they responded. And we decided that that should be the forum to Jojo. What is happening globally is scary.
Right.
And Africa, now that we have a burden of hosting African Continental Free Trade Area, we need to position ourselves properly in order to take up that task. And doing that, we can't do it in isolation.
Right.
So industry players, those who are the real practitioners on the ground, had to be brought on board. Government has its own policy and priorities also.
Right.
We need to understand that so that we can all be on the same page to forge a common trajectory. So this conference was designed to bring all the players, the principal actors in the industry, so that we can make logistics and transport very viable and transparent. What is key is that normally private government participation, PPP, brings results if there is common understanding.
Right.
So that at the planning stage, you bring private sectors in so that they understand contracts, they are able to analyze risk, project financing, and all of that.
Right.
They will all have to start from page 1. When that happens, things move smoothly.
Right.
So that is why we decided to hold this conference. And interestingly, it went well.
Right.
And
that was going to be my next question, whether you would
Yes.
describe it as a success.
Yes, it was successful because what we have tallied and put on the ground, we're going to follow to make sure that things go on well with the industry.
Right. So let me come to Mr. Andor and find out from you what your key takeaways were, as far as this particular high-level conference was concerned, and also let us know whether you were able to put together some document sort of to aid government and inform policy so that we can realize some change and improve our competitiveness.
All right. A very good evening to all our viewers this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to share some few thoughts. I think Mr. Asare has built a very strong foundation in our discussions this evening. The interesting thing is the socioeconomic development of every country is pivoted by transport and logistics. There are some sectors who can not do without transport.
Absolutely.
And almost all sectors cannot do without transport.
That is true.
Be it the mining sector, the health sector, the agriculture sector, you cannot do without transport. So a country where transport thrives, mobility becomes seamless in nature, that country does well. Then on the other side of the coin too, countries where deficiency comes in terms of transport and logistics, we also have indeed challenges in there. So within this simple platform, the president and its leadership thought that, why don't we just create a very simple platform? Bring practitioners together, bring players together, bring policymakers together, and let's see the way forward as far as this country is concerned. One key takeaway for me is that the program wasn't the normal program where people come and just talks about challenges and the trouble. It was solution-oriented.
Right.
It was solution-oriented or solution-focused. We gathered to see the letter that we have. What can we do out of the letter that we have? The challenges, we see them every day. We can't continue to talk about the challenges. But what can we do to make sure that we move forward with the letter that we have? And that is one of the main takeaways for me.
Right.
Players from the government side, players who are practitioners from the academia, we all gathered and became nonpartisan. This is our challenges as a country. This is where we want to go. What can we do to ensure that we get the best? And that is one of my main takeaways as far as the program is concerned, that indeed is a solution-oriented. We came out key action points, which indeed is going to indeed brought away. We are glad and privileged as an institute to, even though it has a very busy schedule, I'm talking about the Minister of Transport,
right,
still made time for the breakfast meeting.
Right.
And indeed assured all key players in there that whatever we decide on, he will pick it up and ensure that he implements it.
Right.
I am happy to let you know that the ministry has picked up all the action points that was agreed on to ensure that Ghana at least become the best that we want to also have as far as transport and logistics is concerned.
Would you share with us some of these action points?
There were 14 key action points that the entire CEOs and players of the sector came together.
Yes.
I would just mention Mr. Asare also has much. And one of the key ones has to do with the leaders advocate for transport and logistics in the big push agenda.
Okay.
You know, the current government wanted to push huge developmental growth on infrastructure. And the leaders in there said that going forward, a special intentional deliberation must be given to transport infrastructure.
Right.
We have a lot of deficit when it comes to transport and logistics. And that is one of the key action points that they came in there. Within that big agenda, governments and key policymakers must make sure that we give concentration and focus. Be it road, be it railway, be it innovation, be it technology. It's one of the areas that it came up to be an action point to also be looked on. Then also to promote infrastructure investments. Mr. Asare made a very strong point. You know, Ghana has policy for PPP, public-private partnership. And transport infrastructures are very expensive. And many times you need other partners to come on board to really push. Out of the CEO's breakfast meeting, one key that came is that government must begin to see how we can also partner with private sector to advance this cause. All that private sector needed is the enabling environment. How it's fertile, they will come on board to ensure that we also push. And the last but not the least, before Mr. Sari continue from there, has to do with CRT has the men and women when it comes to the expertise. And one of the key things that came out from there, CEO's breakfast was to formalize technical partnership with CRT Ghana. When it comes to producing the human capital, most of the time we provide the infrastructure investment at the expense of the human capital. Both must go hand in hand. And CRT has what it takes to provide that technical support, assistance support that government needs to ensure that we get the best as far as our competitiveness is concerned.
Right. Okay. Sure. Let me come to you, Mr. Sari, so that you continue from where you left off in terms of some of the action points.
Yes, the action points. We are just trying to compress them into what we can manage. We've also realized that we need to leverage on Ghana's strategic assets. We have assets all the time. We've been yearning to develop, expand, and all of that. What we already have, we don't seem to appreciate it and use it effectively. Some of our strategic assets, the ports. We have natural sea ports, commercial ports in Tema and Takoradi. And over the years, a lot of infrastructure development have been taking place. The forum recognized that port infrastructure and design is key. You are not only looking at infrastructure, but you design the ports in such a way that we can handle all sorts of cargoes. Handling cargo with speed and accuracy is what shows the competitiveness of the nation. So we have decided that the players, the engineers, or whoever will be involved in port infrastructure will take into consideration design. If Tema Port is well designed and can take care of the various types of cargo, get dedicated terminals, that will show the competitiveness. Because the fact is that all along the West African coast and elsewhere in Africa, those who have seaports, they are all doing similar things. What do we do differently to attract the vessels to our ports, to attract more investors to come and invest in warehousing, roads, banks, and even insurance companies? That is what is the key thing. So the forum decided that strategic assets, the ports, Terminal 3 of the airport, we have to do more. How we manage the passenger transit must be improved. Cargo passing through the port, it has improved, but it's still slow and expensive. If key players along the value chain can up their game, activate the apps that are technology-driven, it will help. In this vein, education is also important. The people who are involved in this trade and then the transactions, few have formal education. And so the delays in clearing cargo and other things at the port sometimes is not because of customs procedures or whatever. Ignorance is also playing a key role. So that transportation, where vehicle operators do much of the work, most of them don't have any formal education. All they know is you go behind the wheel, move the vehicle to a point, and they are not time conscious. Any delays at the port level, once you delay and waste time, cost increases. Because the 7 pillars of logistics has to do with time. You must be dealing with the right commodity, moving it at the right time, in the right condition, the right quantities, at the right time, at the right place, and at the right price. if we are able to tackle these components, then we are getting somewhere.
Right.
So these are some of the things the forum focus on as one of the action things that we're going to follow vigorously to make sure that we make it successful.
Right.
Another area is about urban mobility.
Okay.
You realize that Accra, Kumasi, and the big cities, moving from one point to the other is a challenge. We have not been able to activate public transport system effectively. Whole lot of everybody wants to move with a private car. Yeah. And then you can imagine the congestion.
Yeah, that's true.
Congestion leads to cost. Most of the high cost of living is self-inflicted. We don't put policies in place to guide society. If rail systems, if you go to Europe, rail systems, public transportation, a lot of people park their cars.
Yeah, and use the rails.
It is faster.
Yeah.
Why can't you replicate the same here? So it leads to loss of man hours. People arrive at work late, and because of traffic, they have to leave early.
Yeah.
So you don't do the 8 hours that we are required, and then we are paid for.
That's true.
So
the fellow goes early and leaves early.
Early.
Yeah.
Weekend is a different ball game. Yeah. People don't go after break. Yeah. So that area has to be tackled. And then we look at the public transport system very well. We have to activate the buses and make way and make it attractive. The rail system have to be, we underuse the rail system. If you go to aviation, we need to unlock the potential of aviation, general aviation.
Right.
It should be possible for people to pick flights from Accra to Tamale and do that with ease, without not so much stress.
Yeah.
So the forum also focus on that. And then also, we must be conscious of technology. That is why we're saying that training is important. CILT has been doing a lot of training for practitioners and GPRTU and all of that. We need to get more people on board. We also realize that the training is centered only in the cities.
Right.
It must be holistic to cover the entire country. We're going to work on that one too. And then get NGOs to sponsor some of these training programs.
Yeah.
To help all of us.
Right.
Because we cannot stay aloof. People's inadequacies will affect others.
Absolutely.
Whether you like it or not. And then the postal and courier services must also be activated well. They play a key role in distributing items for logistics value chain.
Right. Okay, so let me come to Mr. Ando and see if we're able to draw any comparisons between our country and other countries in the region. It does appear as though we are all grappling with the same challenges and issues. Are there any comparisons you'd want to draw? Who is doing best, who is doing better, and, in that order?
Before I go in there, the gathering of the leaders didn't finish the program without touching base to the implementation of the Okada that the government wanted to indeed introduce. Yes. One of the key points in there is that government must make sure that all regulations, all policies are all indeed enhanced, well structured, before we look at the commercialization of the Okadas. There are best practices around, and within those best practices are also challenges. We learn from their challenges and we improve ours in there. So the leaders didn't leave there without also ensuring that governments keep an eye on that new area of policy direction that indeed they wanted to go. Being a maiden program, less was done when it comes to comparison. However, more light was thrown on Ghana positioning itself within the sub-region to ensure that we advance whatever wanted to be advanced. When you check over the past years, we had a certain positioning. As far as Ghana is concerned, when it comes to logistics within the sub-region. And gradually, we seem to just lose foot within there. So it came up very clear that as a country, we must really position ourselves very well, because there's a lot of inland countries which surrounding us.
Absolutely.
And quite a number of them use their consignment or goods pass through for the next level.
Yeah.
And if it comes that we are not competitive in terms of our pricing, in terms of our fare, automatically they will consider other options to go. So it's an area that the gathering of the leaders really throw in more light that we should make sure that we don't lose our positioning as far as the South region is concerned. Yeah.
All right. So the issue of infrastructure and technology, what role does it play in terms of aiding us to be competitive? I think Mr. Asari mentioned quite a few, but if there are any that would want to, add up.
Interestingly, the sector that we operate in is a sector that goes with huge investment of infrastructure.
Yeah.
If you even take three modes, be it maritime, be it road, or be it aviation, they're all capital intensive.
Yes.
Huge in number. So the concentration is, government cannot do it alone. And when you check trends in recent times, you get to know that all that countries in recent times do is they provide a neighboring environment to ensure that key partners comes in to also invest.
Yes.
But what came out so clear within the leaders' gathering is we must be very intentional in whatever collaboration or partnership we build with the private sector, so that we don't, in the near future, sell the destinies of the next generation.
Yeah.
So whether any type of policy that we wanted to enter into a private sector, we must be very conscious, deliberate, and intentional, so that we don't necessarily sell our birthright, if I may really call. So the sector needs a lot of investment. When you check, less than 9-10 years ago, we had the likes of Uber and boats coming into the passenger transportation, and they brought a lot of transparency in pricing.
Yeah.
You pick Uber, you know how much you are going to pay.
Yeah.
They brought a lot of, access.
Yeah.
They brought a lot of situation whereby people can now be at their home, pick it in there. So we have to begin to look at how we can also be innovative with our passenger transportation system, how we can also make sure that they are secure.
Yeah.
How we have to also make sure they are also safe.
Yeah.
Because we should not advance any infrastructure at the expense of safety.
I recall the time these ride-hailing companies were coming in and the taxi drivers were up in arms. Then they were coming to take their jobs and all that.
Yes.
But I guess they've been forced to coexist with them.
Oh, it's not even
to make it competitive. Yeah.
It's the norm of the day.
Yeah.
It's innovation. I remember Y2K.
Yes.
Many decades ago, we were told that when we enter into the millennium, jobs will be taken away.
True,
but we entered, and we still survived. So innovation keeps on coming. Strategy keeps on coming. And we have to also begin to see how we could also advance the same thing within, especially the passenger transportation system, so that we can have the best as far as this country is concerned. Sometimes when you travel out of the country and check the best practices there, you get to know that we have a lot of deficits when it comes to this area. But my joy is leaders lead change, and we are all leaders.
Yes.
What we are doing right now, we are leading a small element of change.
Yeah.
So when we dialogue, when we interact, gradually we begin to see those changes in there. So whatever small corner that we find ourselves, we have to make sure that we lead a certain level of change so that Ghana can have the best as far as infrastructure development is concerned.
All right. So in terms of technology, Mr. Asari, let me find out from you, what's your candid opinion? We still seem to have a lot more organizations, both public and private, that kind of like still rely on the manual way of doing things instead of kind of like, if you come to the port sector, I can say to a good measure, we've been able to do well in terms of automation, digitalization, and all that. Are we competitive in that regard?
Yes and no. Yeah, we need to encourage ourselves that we are getting somewhere, but we still have to do a lot more. In terms of technology, yes, paperless port was advocated some time ago.
Yes.
The incomes have been implemented, still going. We rely on the internet connectivity and all of that to streamline custom procedures and that. But you see, there should be a more deliberate effort to roll on almost to the optimum.
Yes.
The private sector, sometimes training, they complain. government must make conscious effort to make training attractive.
Yes.
Somehow it should be even a condition for licensing practitioners.
Yeah.
Because the world will not wait for us in technology. And our GDP is also dependent on how we fully enroll on technology, digitalization and all of that. Like I've said earlier, most of the people operating in the sector don't have any formal education.
Yes.
If we do that, we'll be making mockery of technology. Now, if we take the road sector, for instance, what do we see? A vehicle traveling all the way to Tamale, are they rest stops? What do we have adequate information about weather and all of that? Do people even know how to access information?
Yes.
Those things are all gaps that we have to fill. Pipeline is another mode of transportation.
Yes.
How many people are aware? So people who are investing into transportation, and then you want to convey gas and oil.
Yes.
You might end up doing a poor investment because of both is developing pipelines to connect Akosombo on Bar to Yape and all of that. So technically, a reduction in the use of vehicles will be there. People must be knowledgeable about this. Otherwise, you do poor investment. No wonder people start businesses and along the line, they get choked. Bible says for lack of knowledge, people perish. And so their businesses also perish. So I think that we shouldn't take a technology issue lightly. We should inculcate and then redesign the school's curriculum. We should be teaching some of these subjects right from primary through tertiary, and then the TVET, vocational institutions. It will help a lot because transport and logistics is the main engine of any economy. And almost all the population have knowledge about that. If you go to advanced countries, the Scandinavian, the literacy rate is almost 80 plus.
Right.
And no wonder. They know very, very little things. Because once you leave your doorstep, you are engaging in a form of logistics.
Right.
Walking is even part of transportation. So that as a nation, the private sector, the academia, the business community, the churches, they must find 5 minutes on the pulpit to preach something about logistics awareness.
Right.
And then, of course, the press, the media. You should forget about sensational reporting and all that. People must be awarded on how they can educate the public on logistics matters. I think we'll get somewhere with that.
Right.
And I think it was heartwarming to hear that our up-and-coming road toll is now going to be technology-driven.
Absolutely.
We are yet to see its full implementation. But the truth of the matter, it will have some teething challenges. But technology has come to stay. Machine learning has come to stay. It is penetrating almost all sectors. And transport and logistics is indeed not an exception. So we must have more innovations. If for nothing at all, we could learn from this to online Uber and Boats. How they could simply use innovation and technology to advance the same thing that we do traditionally called transport. So it has come to stay. We have to all see how we could deploy the same technology into our basic day-to-day passenger transportation, into aviation, into railway, and the rest.
Awesome. Right. This is our report here on Metropolitan Television, and tonight we are taking a look at how to strengthen Ghana's competitiveness in our logistics and transport sector. We're taking some perspectives from the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, CILT Ghana. We're going for a quick break. When we return, we'll continue the discussion. Please stay with us.
Good energy brings you quality choices with Goil Super XP. Available in many Goil stations nationwide. It is fortified with special additives that help your engine perform better and use less fuel. Branch into a Goil station today and energize your ride with Goil Super XP, compatible with most vehicles. Goil Super XP, who feel ya? Huh? Who be feel? Goil, good energy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Yeah. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is, you still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Welcome to today's edition of Serene Insurance Business News. We present to you Serena.
You're right. You can complete an entire insurance process for the purchase of any motor and other insurance products, from onboarding to issuing a motor insurance sticker and policy certificate, all on WhatsApp in less than 10 minutes. Serena is simple to use and it prioritizes user ease and flexibility. You can either use voice notes or text to effortlessly issue your instant policy, cross-platform renewals, claims, and also process your payments through mobile money, Visa, and MasterCard. To engage Serena, just search for Serena Insurance on all social media handles and scan the Serena barcode or save her number 0500 517 114 and start chatting her on WhatsApp immediately.
There you have it. Serena is not just a tool, it's an innovation by Serene Insurance designed to redefine how motor and travel insurance are accessed and managed. Speed, convenience, and reliability.
MPS Terminal 3 is Africa's new state-of-the-art container terminal at Tema Port. For manufacturers, agro-processors and traders, the new port means business can be done faster. This infrastructure boost will improve Ghana's port handling capacity, connect more trading routes, and oil the engine of growth for the economy, creating greater opportunities across all sectors as Africa's markets merge and become the largest trading bloc globally. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
At Phoenix Insurance, we make the unpredictable predictable and the uncertain certain with our range of products, including motor insurance, fire insurance, engineering insurance, marine insurance, accident insurances, and all types of bonds. We have you covered. We also support you with risk management advice to enable you stay focused on your business. Take a policy with Phoenix Insurance today. We help you rise from adversity stronger and more secure. Contact us on 0302 246319 or 0302 246644 or any of our branches, agencies, and brokers spread across the nation. You can as well connect with us on our WhatsApp chatbot. EFIBA is waiting to assist you. Make the future predictable with Phoenix Insurance. Phoenix Insurance, a delightful service experience delivered with wisdom.
All right, so welcome back. This is Iron Port, and tonight, like I said, we are taking a look at how to strengthen Ghana's competitiveness in the logistics and transport sector. And we're taking some perspectives from the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport, CILT Ghana. With us in the studios, Mr. Ephraim Asari, who is the Vice President in charge of Logistics and Materials at the Institute, and he's a fellow also of the Institute, and indeed Mr. Patrick Ando, who is also a fellow of the Institute, and the Executive Secretary of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. Pretty shortly, we shall be taking your messages. I've also been told that we can activate the phone lines for you to call in. The number to dial is right on your screen, 0245-834980, 0245-834980. You can call in and contribute to the discussion. Now, Mr. Asari, he mentioned the issue of public-private partnership. You also even mentioned it. And what role can they play to kind of like come together to enhance the efficiency and competitiveness of the sector?
Yes, they have a big role to play. You know, the private sector have a conglomerate of talents. A lot of them have done practical work and they are versed with experience.
Right.
And we may not get all these people on government payroll. And so they have developed capacity which they are ready to share.
Right.
If you look at the history of even the port expansion of Takoradi,
yes,
the company Ibistec,
yes,
I always admire the resilience of this company. It was the first time a Ghanaian company ventured into capital-intensive area with the Atlantic terminal.
Yes.
And that terminal is doing marvelously well now.
Yeah.
If you take the oil jetty, which is fully automated, it's attracting a lot of cargo and is marketing Takoradi, for that matter, Ghana.
Yes.
So it tells you the role of the private sector. And we are saying that with all the modes of transport, take the port. We have just seen an example of how the private sector can play a role.
Yes.
If we take the road sector, you will see that the construction of the road, after some few years or months, they deteriorate. A lot of material that makes it quality is not used.
Right.
But sometimes the private sector, because of fear of losing their contracts, they pay more attention. So it is not always the case that the private sector is bad.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, they must be engaged in the early partnership arrangements.
Right.
So that the planning, contract, how to even understand maritime jargon in contract statements is also important.
Right.
So you need key people, well-endowed personnel to come together to look at contracts, risk management, project financing, and all of that.
Right.
Once they get on the same page, you succeed in whatever you do.
Right.
If you take rail, the private sector is important. If you take aviation, they are equally important. The government cannot run all the flights. Now that we have African continental trade, we are looking beyond Ghana so that the private sector can come and partner other Africans. They could come from Kenya. Once the headquarters is here, they will descend here first to do the contact works.
Yes.
And that can really elevate Ghana. And once our ratings go on the Logistics Performance Index by the World Bank, it is the nation that stands to gain.
Absolutely.
And then it will stabilize our currency and then improve our GDP.
Right. In terms of shaping policy and skills development in the sector, what role is CILT playing?
Ken, thank you. A little addition to what Mr. Asari said in terms of the PPP. I'm quite interested in there because our sector is capital intensive.
Absolutely it is.
And government cannot do it alone. So you almost always need a private sector to come on board to execute. But what we have to do very well as a country is to indeed undertake value for money.
Right.
Mr. Asari hit a nail right at the head.
Value for money audits.
Yes. Where we have situations whereby roads are constructed and within just shortest possible time, they are all deteriorated. I think we cannot continue this way as a nation, where we invest and within the shortest possible time, we have to come and reinvest on the same stretch of road again. Right. So value for money, as far as any private sector coming on board, must be indeed done and done very well.
Right.
Because any of the sectors or any of the mode that you take is highly capital intensive, and you must really make sure that you get in there. Now, in terms of, your question was in terms of, is it human capital our role at CIRT?
Yes.
Is it your question?
Yes.
CIRT has been formidable.
That's shipping policy and skills development.
Yes. We've been very formidable for decades. What we do best as far as CIRT is concerned, we advocate.
Right.
We don't go around and make noise. We dialogue.
Right.
We help leaders to reshape their policies. We provide the technical assistance support that is needed because our household have the technical expertise. Our household, our community are highly independent.
Right.
So we make sure that we provide this cumulative expertise at the disposal of government or any ministry that want to advance a very good cause. Then again, we also provide a human capital. Because at the end of the day, when we have the infrastructure, you have the systems, you have the innovation, it's human being who's supposed to ensure that we push for that agenda.
Yes.
And what we do best is to provide a human capital. So we don't just provide a human capital in terms of knowledge, but with respect to skills and attitude. If there's any element that we have deficiency in, it has to do with attitude.
Right.
Because you can put a personnel into a place with challenges, with a positive attitude, is able to transform the same challenges. And we see it from far and near. And you could also put another personnel with their skills, with a certificate, but they cannot deliver. So we don't just provide the knowledge, there must be a skill. There must be the right attitude or the mindset to indeed bring that transformation that we do. So over the years, through our accredited training providers, we make sure that we provide a human capital that is indeed needed. Right from maritime to road sector to supply chain logistics to passenger transportation to transport planning, our men and women are there to ensure.
Our men and women are there to ensure this. Yes, absolutely. I think that today the folks at Kaswa wants to make serious inputs onto the show. So let's welcome Israel, who's calling us from Kaswa. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Awesome. Please shoot.
Honestly, I'm grateful for the topic, but I'd like to share some insightful on the transport sector. I think I overheard your panel, one of them making a point on the fact that we often experience deterioration on our road stretch whenever we construct the pavements. There are several factors that contribute to that. And I've also heard instances where the former Minister for Transport has also attributed that to the non-professional engineers that we have in Ghana, and of which I disagree to that. Now, the road sector, in constructing a pavement, one, we consider a whole lot of aspects. That is the EXAL, that is the equivalent standards axial loads. When you consider all these factors, you make your design, you construct the road, and yet still, specifications that were necessitated, that was used in the construction of the road are not followed. I'm looking at situations where we allow our tipper trucks mounting so much pressure on the pavement, and we expect that the longevity or the life expectancy of the pavement would be as it was being designed. That is very wrong. I was trying to make a research, and I even to date I've not even gotten the data where I applied for the data for this ESAL. I was denied. I also applied at the Urban Roads, Department of Urban Roads, for certain traffic data in relation to congestion on our in Kwame Nkrumah and also in Circle, these two CBD, because I wanted to know certain trends. I was being directed to national security because upon the data, the volumes of data that I needed, I was directed to national security. To date, I've not been given any data. Yes, so we are saying that we don't have professional engineers. I'm saying we have professional engineers. We have our policemen women on our roads. They see all these loads passing through and they don't even stop them. I overheard some countries, when they see all those stuffs, they stop them and they try to divide those loads into two. We don't do that. So yes, sir, when these things create these micro holes within the pavement, now, when rains are being poured into these holes, what happens is that it rather makes the pavement becomes very elastic. It acts like a rubber.
Right.
How does it act like a rubber? It acts like a rubber in that the carbon monoxide that comes from the vehicles, when it mixes with the rainwater, definitely is going to be acidic.
Easy. Are you an engineer yourself?
I am engineer. This engineer is right speaking.
All right. Okay. Sure. All right. Great. Thank you very much indeed. Your point is well noted. Thank you very much. Thank you. So yes, you heard what he said. I don't know. He says that we have the competent engineers around. You know, we have the capacity to be able to do it. Just that, I mean, some things are not right at all. Do you agree? In terms of road infrastructure, that's what his emphasis was.
Yes, I think
that's where his emphasis was.
It is true. It's a fact that we have competent engineers.
Yes.
There is one thing, the dichotomy between I am a competent engineer.
Yes.
I am committed to perform in consonance with what I know perfectly. It's also another matter.
Right.
We are saying that the roads deteriorate.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there's a presidential logistic committee, as we noted at the forum, that are going to serve as a monitoring team now to monitor this road construction and other projects. And I think so mediocrity will be something of the past. Now that we are setting Ghana, and I think things will be done differently.
Yeah.
And the road minister, the other day, Kwame Agboja, is also very strong on this point of quality assurance. So we believe that going forward, we're going to see real standards being portrayed and magnified, manifested in the end product in road construction.
Right.
And I think Easy may have a very genuine concern when you listen to his tone.
Yeah.
I want to rather say that it's about time we keep an eye on national interest than personal interest.
Right.
Sometimes there are instances where, as a nation, players or leaders who are stewards try to make sure that their personal interests override that of a national interest. Yeah. But I believe that we can't continue to do this to ourselves as a nation.
Yeah.
We must begin to uphold national interests to that of personal interest. And when we begin to do this, we could begin to see some transformation in whatever we do.
Okay. All right, let's go to Tema and welcome Nana Kwame to the show. Good evening, sir. Hello, Nana, good evening.
Good evening.
Awesome. Please go ahead.
I really like your submission.
We are live, yes. We are live on Metro TV. Yes, please.
Mr. Asari, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
He's our man in the port. He's very strong and he's a very hard-working man.
Okay. Right. Is that all, Mr. Nana?
I just want to commend them on their submission.
Okay. All right. Great. Awesome. Thank you very much indeed, Nana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. So this message is coming from Mr. Nate, Engineer Nate. Okay. I call him Double Engine. He says, "Good evening. Good discussion. My take. That is why there is a need for a maritime development fund, where a proper maritime architecture plan can be considered in port development, logistics and transport infrastructure, warehousing, banking sector, insurance, standards authority, and the energy sector. As an industry, our solution is to first create an awareness for the government to introduce a fund called the Maritime Development Fund, where this fund serves as capital for development within the maritime space. Do we agree? Maritime Development Fund, that's what he's proposing. I think
Yes.
this, I've heard it somewhere.
Yes.
Yes.
We will have to reactivate that idea.
Yes.
It's key to all of this because it brings on board all the expertise, even both foreign and local, so that it will address these teething problems and then take that aspect of load from maybe Ghana Ports Authority and other stakeholders.
Yeah.
It is good we activate this particular fund because it will fill in the gaps.
Right.
The 2023 report on the logistics and transport sector have road, air, sea, and rail.
Right.
Ghana was worth, logistics and transport was worth $6 billion. Wow. That is this sector alone.
Yes.
So if we are not serious about the sector, and this is where a lot of economically active population is.
That's true.
If we activate the logistics and supply chain corridor,
right,
it can absorb a lot of youth. We are even saying that even a cold chain logistics, which has to do with temperature-sensitive goods like vaccines and perishable items, nurses can get employment there.
Right.
It's not necessarily at the hospitals. Because it has to do with temperature reading and transferring perishable items over long distances, which must be refrigerated and all of that.
And kept under the right temperature.
Exactly. Delivered at the right time and at the right place. So you see that when I say it is the engine of economic growth in Ghana, you can understand it.
Absolutely.
We need to up our game and stand up strongly to have a second look at this sector. It will help it take us out of the woods.
Right. Awesome.
And okay, you know, anything with the terminology developmental fund, it's a deliberate, intentional effort to ensure that funds are kept. Because the sector in which we operate go with huge investment with maintenance or even routine schedule maintenance. So if you even have the infrastructure in there, it must go through a certain level of routine maintenance, and you need funding. Over time, over decades, same infrastructure that you put in place will become outmoded, and you need to also replace it. So we must all have that deliberate, intentional effort to ensure that a certain fund is kept gradually so that it can grow, so that when it comes to the point that you have to replace or transform, you don't need to really suffer much. But the important thing is, whatever fund that we put in there, it must be used for its purpose.
Absolutely.
As you defeat, So if you are putting Maritime Developmental Fund or Road Toll Fund, purpose to ensure that our roads are maintained, it must be used for its purpose. The moment you change the focus, then it means that that sector will seems to have a challenge and you defeat the purpose for it.
Right. Right. My sister Amina in Tamale says, "Hi Kennedy, logistics in Ghana often feels Accra focused. What's the plan to ensure the northern regions are included in these competitiveness strategies?"
Indeed, my sister's name is what again?
Amina.
Amina, the good news is CIRT in the few months to come will now have its office or its presence in the northern region.
Okay.
So don't worry much. And the truth of the matter is, whatever discussion that we're having here is not Accra focused. It's the entire nation to ensure that we have the best as far as the competitiveness of the nation is concerned. But we'll also be getting more closer to our brothers and sisters up north to ensure that we also advance. Because there's a lot of agriculture products in there. If the infrastructure are not there, they will produce. And we'll have a lot of post-harvests. Many of the post-harvests challenge that we have has to do with deficiency of transport. Come to think of it, sadly to say, Ghana continues to record high maternal mortality. Women who have just taken seed, want to do their natural thing, loses their life. Many of the time when you check, it has to do with geographical access to the nearest health facility. So what we are discussing is a national focus, not just Accra focus. If transport infrastructure systems are not well built, it affects almost all other sectors. And that is how powerful the sector that we operate in. It will affect health, it will affect agriculture, it will affect trade facilitation, it will affect even a continental free trade that we all boast about. I continue to say that until focus is given to transport, logistics and supply chain, we may not have the full optimization of the continental free trade. We could do all the discussions, but at the end of the day, the consignment or the goods must move.
Absolutely.
It must move, and it must move on the wheels of transport. So if you have all the discussions without keeping an eye on transport and logistics, we'll have a challenge. European Union became European Union because they made sure that first and foremost, the infrastructure for transport and logistics was built before countries come together and push. But ours is the opposite side. So until we begin to give focus to the wheels of transport and logistics, we may not see the full realization very well of the continental free trade that we all boast about.
Talk about post-harvest losses. I think once I was in Qatar with my colleagues, we went to do some work there, and that was, I think that it was a tomato season. There was so much tomatoes there. In fact, that day we all bought, everybody bought. You can imagine buying a big basket of tomatoes for 150 cedis. We all bought. And then I saw the farms. The tomatoes were rotting away. They were that whole night I couldn't take my mind off it. And my heart went out to the farmers. Seriously.
Ken, you are right.
Absolutely.
When you check the hard-working farmers that we have in this country, all the effort that they put in, and at the end of the day, because of lack of infrastructure.
And when you move in Qatar, the farms, in the backyards and all those things, you see these pipes, they connect these pipes. It's kind of irrigation kind of thing. And even when it's dry season, but they are farming. They are there. The vegetables they are producing.
So you realize that logistics must be well focused. Look, one will be asking the question. The government have tried hard to stabilize the dollar. That is fine. Ghana has relatively good weather. 365 days. We don't have natural disasters. There's politically stable economy. Why is it that the finger of plantain is still costing 50 cedis?
That's true.
Why?
That's true.
Why should a household of 3 spend more than 200 for one meal? The solution is in transport. And I reiterate again, one time.
For the trucks to be able to cart
exactly
the produce to the market centers.
Lord Lugard, the British governor who oversees West Africa post independence time, said in summary that the solution, Africa's solution, material solution and everything rely in one thing. He said transport. And that was his thinking at that time, and it is relevant today.
Absolutely.
If we pay attention, production centers, farmers are no longer enthused to produce. There is food lockup in production centers. What is the link between production and distribution centers and the markets? It's transport.
That's true.
If GPRTU and the transport, various transport unions can mobilize, they look at the petrol, the providers, give them incentive. Government should lead this. CRT is also ready. They give them incentives, diesel. They will move to production centers and bring food. And then there should be investment advantage places for warehousing to buy them as warehouses for the foodstuffs.
That's true.
You see, so that trucks will move in there and send them to the market centers. Abundance will automatically reduce prices.
Absolutely.
And that can also offer opportunity for a lot of the youth. The white-collar jobs are non-existent. Agric alone can absorb a lot of unemployed youth.
Absolutely.
And then in the logistics value chain.
Sandra in East Legon says, thanks for highlighting this. Are there any plans to integrate green logistics into our national transport policy? Climate change should be part of this discussion too. Do we agree? Green logistics?
Yes. I think I cannot agree more with her. And I think the nation passed the electric vehicles policy some few years ago. It's also part of ensuring that we have more greening. For some years now at CIRT, we've been advancing the course of green logistics and supply chain because transport and logistics are the main contributors of the emissions.
Yes.
And we must also position ourselves to ensure that whatever we also do
Yes.
has a lot of element in green logistics. Somebody made a profound statement, and the statement is currently many of the developed countries concentrate on the use of electric vehicles.
Yes.
And as Africans, automatically, the so-called home use will virtually get to us. So what infrastructure are we building?
Yeah, sure.
What system are we putting in place to accept these cars in the next 4 or 5 years when they finally come? They are all part of effort to ensure that we begin to become more green.
I understand we have a little above 2,000 electric EV vehicles in Ghana.
Yes. And just last week, just last week in another forum, one speaker made a profound statement that there's no week that passes by in Ghana without having not less than 100 electric vehicles passing through our ports. So gradually, they are coming.
So we need to prepare,
We
build
need to prepare.
infrastructure.
We need to prepare.
Maybe more charging points. I understand we have like 4 charging points. I don't know whether we've increased the number at various locations.
There are more,
Right.
so it's more private sector driven. So
yeah,
they are more business, but we could holistically look at it and build infrastructure.
But meanwhile, to mitigate the impact of the carbon emission, there's a need to conduct a carbon audit.
Okay.
That will give a fair idea of, and then we have to zone and map out the critical areas. If we take the Tema, Accra, Enclave, because of the port and the congestion, there's a lot of emission here. Audit will reveal, and then solution will be found. The Kumasi area is also one, and then the borders, the Aflao border where 24/7 trucks are crossing, Elubu, and then Paga. That will help solve the emission while we try to transit into.
Awesome. Nana in Cape Coast says, very educative show. Please ask them how they are working with schools, how they are working with schools or institutions to train more professionals in logistics. We need hands-on talent in this space.
I think I'll pick her last 2 words, hands-on talent. I'm happy to let Nana know that not less than 10 universities in this country, we call them the accredited training providers who advances our program. So Nana, Takoradi Technical University, which is closer to Cape Coast, is one of the universities advancing. We are currently in talking terms with UCC to also ensure that we also provide accreditation for them. So the emphasis is the hands-on, not just the knowledge, not just the certificate, but can you do it? Can you bring 10 around to whatever? So there is a lot of effort being done by CIRT to ensure that we advance this cause.
We have Wedu from Achaiman. Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Please go ahead.
Okay. I have a problem. And the problem has to do with the railway lines. So please, how long in this country called Ghana that will make use of this railway line in order to ease the transport pressure? Yeah, so that's always my problem because I keep asking when will it be?
Absolutely, yeah. All right, thank you very much indeed. I think Mr. Asari mentioned this earlier on in the discussion. I mean, if you go to a country like Dubai, almost everywhere you pass, there are the metro stations. You from one place to the other. It's so seamless and very easy. I mean, I think that if we are to get there, it will take us several years, but it's a good venture to go into so that we can take the cars off the roads and save the roads. And you know, get people transported mass, you know, to various destinations, to their workplaces and all that.
I think it needs a little bit bold leadership. Absolutely. It's capital intensive, so every leader tries to run away from it. But its ripple effect, the resultant effect is huge and big. So I want to encourage current leadership to be bold. Look at railway so that we can reduce the pressure, like Wedu said, from the road sector to the railway.
Right, so this is how we draw the curtain on tonight's edition, or this week's edition, so to speak, of Iron Port here on Metropolitan Television. I'd like to say a big thanks to Mr. Ephraim Asari, who is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. He's the Vice President in charge of Logistics and Materials, and indeed to Mr. Patrick Andor, who is the Executive Secretary, also of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. He's also a fellow of that institute. Tonight we've been exploring how to strengthen the competitiveness of Ghana's logistics and transport sector. We say a big thanks to our sponsors, Ghana Revenue Authority, Well PLC, Serene Insurance, Ghana Link Network Services, Meridian Port Services, MPS, and indeed Phoenix Insurance. Remember, the show is proudly powered by the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority-GPHA. God willing, next week we shall bounce back with another wonderful edition of your favorite Iron Port program. In the meantime, we entreat you to watch the abridged version of Iron Port on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on Ghana Television GTV. My name is Kennedy Mona. Please keep watching the rest of our programs here on Metro TV. We wish you a super week ahead. God bless, no less. We are out.